Today's video will be a primer in Markdown, specifically for Obsidian. Markdown is a lightweight markup language created by John Gruber in 2004, with the goal of enabling people to write using an easy-to-read and easy-to-write plain text format. Its key design goal is readability. Let's dive deeper into it. Let's first get started with headings. This is a heading. So, you have 6 options for heading. You have heading 1, heading 2, heading 3, heading 4, heading 5, heading 6. Now, how do you separate them? Like, they all look the same, right? So for heading 1, you just have to do a hashtag once and space. For heading 2, you have to do a hashtag twice and space. For heading 3, you have to do hashtag 3 and space. For heading 4, you have to do hashtag 4 times and space. For heading 5, you have to do hashtag 5 times and space. And finally, for heading 6, you have to do 6 times and space. That's it. 6 is the maximum. Let's try a 7 one as well. Heading 7. As you can see, nothing happens with that. 6 is the maximum that it can take. Now, let's do a line break. For line break, it's very simple. You just do 3 hyphens. That's it. The next section we'll come to is text stylings. So, let's just add that heading as well. Text styling. First, we look at bold. Then we look at italic. Then we look at highlights. Then we look at a combination of all. So let's get started. Now let me just copy this list again and I'll show you why in a second. So how do we get started with bold? If you want to make any text bold, you have to do 2 times asterisk symbol. That'll make it bold. Alternatively, another thing that you can do is underscore twice and write bold, and that'll also make the text bold. Now with italic, you have to do the same thing once. So asterisk once, and that's it. It becomes italic. If you want to do it using underscore, it's the same thing. So we'll write italic, underscore once this side, underscore once this side. That'll become italic. With highlights, you have to do equal to, and to end it again equal to, and that'll highlight the thing. Combination is basically a combination of everything. So we'll do combination of bold, italic and highlights. So bold will be italic. Let's just use underscore for italic. And highlights, finally, we use equal to and end with equal to. So you can see you have bold, italic and highlights in one combination. Now why have I written this again? There's an easier method to do it. You don't have to add this again and again. Highlight the text with the cursor, press shift, and while pressing shift, just add the asterisk. What you'll see is it will add the asterisk on both the side and the highlight will be centered. Similarly for italic, I just have to do underscore with shift pressed and it'll do that. Now with highlights, unfortunately it doesn't work. So that is that. Now if I want to do combination of bold and italic, just to show you the same thing. Bold will do underscore this time twice and italic will do asterisk once. And that's it. That's how you have text styling. Now we'll just add a line break first. So the next thing we look at is lists. In lists, we have 2 options. We have one ordered list. So as you can see, it's automatically put in 2. So it can be A, B, C, D, E, F, G, Now, what if I had put something else over here? I came down and I again start with 1. You can see there's a list that is already going on up. Adding 1 will add to that list as it is. So it will become 9, even though it's 1 here. So see this, it becomes even more interesting. So I, J, K. Now what if I wanted to indent this? Very simple, you just do tab and it'll start indenting the list. So D, E, you can see without any effort required from your end how it's still maintaining the list. So this is ordered list. Now let's look at unordered list. Unordered lists are nothing but your bullet points. So A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J. Now what if I want to indent F, G, H? Simple, you just do a tab, it'll indent it. G will indent further, and finally H will indent again. So you can see how that works. And that's list. We add another line break, we go to the next section. Now we come to my favorite section, which is links. First we'll start with external links. So the very first thing we can do is, let's have it as is. So this is the first format. Now you can see just by pasting it as is, it's created the link here. Now clicking this will take you to the Obsidian website directly. Let's go back. Second option we have is if you want to create an alias. Basically, if you want to say, let's say Obsidian website, and now we'll open normal brackets, copy this and paste it here. Now you can see it's created, we've specified it as Obsidian website, so it's listed it as Obsidian website. Now if you click this will also open the Obsidian website and nothing else. So that is alias. Alias, basically here you have to start with a square bracket. In the square bracket you can mention anything that you want, and without any space you have to start with a normal bracket, and in the normal bracket enter the URL exactly as it is. Now we'll come to internal links. So shift tab will get the indentation back into this order again. So what we do is, the first way is basically doing double brackets and then just adding in something. So we can say article on Obsidian. So this will become an internal link. Now because the link doesn't exist here, as soon as I click here, it'll create a new note, article on Obsidian. This will be handy later. I'll explain why in just a few minutes. So let's go back to our markdown file. Now the second option that we have is working with an alias. So how can I just put an alias instead of article on Obsidian? I can just say maybe Obsidian, and when I click it, it will take me to article on Obsidian. The way to do that is very simple. You just start with double brackets again. In double brackets, we'll just add article on Obsidian. But wait, it didn't change here. Very simple. You just have to add a pipe here, and in the pipe, whatever you mention now is, so we'll call article, and it'll show as article. But if I click on article, you'll see it is still article on Obsidian. You can see that is what is highlighted everywhere. That's how you create an alias for internal links. Next, we'll come to embedding. Again, if I want to come back to the root level indentation, I just do shift tab together and it'll get me back. So the third option that we have is called embedding. Now how do you embed an internal article? Very simple. Press tab again, and let's embed the article on Obsidian. So to do that, as I had shown, this comes in here and then I just add an exclamation mark and it's embedded it inside. Now if I go back to article on Obsidian, let's create two headings. Heading 1, test point 1, and second is heading 2, test point 2. Now what I want to do next is I want to get just this test point 2. I know I've shown this in other videos as well, but since we are going over the basics, I thought it's important for me to show it in this as well. So you go back to Markdown, Now what I'll do here is I'll add this again. So article on Obsidian. So I can just highlight that, do double brackets without pressing shift, and it'll come there. Now if I add this, you can see it's created the exact same one, but this time I just want the heading too. How do I do that? It's very simple. You do hash. As soon as you do hash, it will show you all the headings. So heading 2 is what we are looking for, and you can see test point 2 is what is coming here. This can also be known as block embedding. Next we look, again shift tab, at images. Now for images, if the image is from outside, I'll just copy a link from outside and then I'll paste it here. So to do that, we just head to the Obsidian page again. Let's just grab this image. So copy image address and we just paste it here. And once we pasted it, we'll just highlight it. We'll add brackets to it. It's created brackets on both the sides. We'll call it Obsidian image, and we'll reference it by doing the exclamation mark. You can see as soon as I put the exclamation mark, it got the image here. What is the second option we have? Second option, let me just copy paste a Productivity Guru image and put it here. Let me just quickly grab that. Let's just grab this and we'll paste it inside. As soon as I pasted it inside, you can see it's created the exact thing for me and it has put it here as well. So you can see Productivity Guru is now come. You can also specify a folder for putting this into. You go to setting, then you click on file, and in file you can, over here, attachment folder path, you can specify any folder you want to put the attachment in. So for example, if we put attachment, let's just create a folder named attachment for now. And we'll close this. Now I'll create a new folder and we'll call the new folder attachment. Now I'll take this and I'll delete it. Yes, delete. Now I'll go back to Markdown. We'll get rid of this because this is not reference to anything. And again, I'll copy it from here and put it on side here. Now, as soon as I put it back here, you can see it's come back. But as soon as I put it there, you can see the file is not here anywhere. It's now into attachment because we had specified it there. So that is links. Let's just give it a little more space. That is links. Now, the next thing we're looking at is quotes. So specifying quotes is very simple. You just need to put the greater than sign and a nice quote by someone. Okay, so this is how that looks. Now I want to say this is by Productivity Guru 2020, but you can see that what this does is it creates a bullet. How do we get rid of that? It's very simple. We just put a slash. As soon as you put a slash, it is going to allow you to essentially put this wherever you want, and obviously you leave a space and you have this. So that is quotes. Now quotes is also done. Before we proceed further, I just remembered that there's one more embedding that I'd forgotten actually. So let's just go back to embedding, and images will be third kind. We put article here. So this was articles embedding. This was image embedding. And now finally one more audio embedding. So you can put MP3 audio, FLAC, any kind of audio that you want. But for now what we'll do is we'll just use the internal audio recorder. So to do that, we'll come to settings. We'll come to plugins. We'll come to audio recorder, and in audio recorder you just have to switch it on, and now it will start recording. So now it's going to record me from my mic in the computer. I'm using an external mic for recording this, so I'll just continue talking. This is a recording that I'm testing out. 1 2 3 1 2 3. Okay, and now I'll just stop recording. You can see it's already created the recording over there. And it's given me the recording here as well. It's embedded it here. So we'll just do Command X and we'll embed it here. And what does that look like? Let's play it and see. Okay. This is a recording that I'm testing out. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Okay, and now so that's also done. So that's audio embedding. Now moving ahead. Now we come to code blocks. So for block codes, we have 3 options. Option 1 is a complete code block. So what this option does is it allows you to specify a code block. What you do is you put a back quote 3 times and 3 times again below, and here you can put in whatever code you want. Now, one thing to note is that this supports almost every language that is out there. I will be adding a link to all the languages it supports. So Python, you can specify py or Python and it will accept both. So here we'll do import pandas as pd. Let's just do bf is equal to pd.read _ csv test.csv. So now you can see how it's highlighting the Python code. If we were to remove Python, you can see that it will not highlight that, it will just show it as a normal thing. Now if I type Python full also, it will show the exact same thing. Similarly, if you want, you can add for JavaScript as well. JavaScript short form is JS, otherwise you can put entire JavaScript as well. And in this, if you say const a is equal to blah blah, you can see how it's highlighting the syntax. So this is one option. Is going to come here as well. That's going to be inside the code block. So how much ever big it is, it's going to be part of the code block. Now, the third option is, let's go out. Third option is, say if I'm just specifying a file. Sometimes you want to give emphasis on a file name or give emphasis on some part of the code. That's also very simple. So for example, we'll do template is stored in template.md. So you can see that's the only thing that was specified. Everything after that will not be specified. So this is code blocks. We put another line break. Now we come to the next section, which is to-dos. To-dos is very simple. You just have to add a hyphen followed by a space and then a square bracket with space inside. And then you just add. So for example, task 1. Now as you can see, it's task 1 is created. If you want to mark that as done, then you just put an X there and it'll be done. But you can alternatively from preview mode also put it on and off, and that's tasks. So we'll keep one as done and we'll create one more as not done. Now if you keep pressing enter, it'll keep creating a new task. So one more. That's it. That's to-dos. Now we'll just add a line break. Our next section is something that I use a lot. It's called tables. So how do you create a table? Let me just walk you through it. It's not that difficult. You start with a pipe and then you enter the name of the column. So column 1, let's just abbreviate it as COL, 2, COL3, and that's done. But you can see it's not creating anything yet because we have to specify how we want the justification to be done of the rows below it. So this line is a justification line. What that means is, for example, I want this to be justified towards the left. So what I'll do is I'll do a colon and then I'll do 2 dashes and one more pipe. Then over here I want this to be centered. So we'll do colon, dash, colon and pipe. And finally the last one we want justified to the right. So 2 dashes and 1 colon and that. So you can see it's now created the table. We've created a structure of the table. Now we can just start entering anything. So for example, let's put pipe A, pipe B, pipe C, pipe. You can see there's no justification that I've given here. Yet over here, because we've entered the colon in front, this will be left justified. We've entered the colon both the places, so this will be center justified. We entered the colon in the right, so this will be right justified. That's it. Now everything you type after that also will continue the same way. So D, E. Now if I want, even if I leave like a massive gap, F, it will not matter. See, it's not going to take the space or anything. It's going to, because we justified it here, we specified what we want, it's going to contain that. Now, what if I want to put a link inside? How do I put a link? So ideally you would think that to put a link, you just have to do double brackets, and double brackets, let's just say flat file system and para. This creates a link. But what if I want to make this shorter and just say, for example, para? So the way to create alias was to put a pipe and then put an alias after that. But if you see here, it will break the thing. So in that case, all you have to do is add a slash. And now you can enter whatever alias you want. So in our case, we'll just specify it as para. And you can see it's now para. If I click on para, it will take us to flat file system and para. Let's go back. That's basically how you create tables. Also, I just remembered in our text stylings, we've not mentioned strike through. So to do strike through, it's again very simple. You do strike through. We just put tilde keys. So 2 tilde keys and 2 tilde keys. That will create a strike through. That's it. And it can work in a combination as well. So strike, and that's striked off. Okay, so now let's put a line break, and let's go to the next section. Our next section is footnotes. Option 1, we'll just create a sentence. Now to add a footnote, all you have to do is you have to open the brackets and put a caret sign and reference that. So we'll give it a reference of A. Now what does this do? Now below we'll create the same thing. So we'll put a caret and we'll put A, and then we'll put colon. This is a footnote. Okay. So now you can see it's showing 1, and you can see the footnote. You can see the sign. If you click it, it will show you exactly where the footnote is. So if this was like later on, I'll show you after we do the maths module, the final module. If you click this, it will show you this sentence will be highlighted basically. Let's create another footnote. This is also a sentence, and in this case, we'll give it a bigger footnote. So what we'll do is again square brackets, caret sign, B. Again, we'll do the same thing. Square brackets, caret sign, B, and in this case, it will be a complete paragraph. So this is a paragraph. Now, if I want to add more to it, I just come down and I press tab. Now, whatever I type here will also be a part of the footnote. Now if you see, this is also a part of the footnote. So that's footnotes. Now we'll create a line break. Finally, we come to maths, or what I used to consider the most boring section. Turns out you can do a lot more using math functions. Let me show you some. So just to set the stage up, the way you start defining a maths latex function is by using the $sign and ending it with a $sign. Now anything you type inside will be part of the command. So in this case, I want to show you the power of it. So what we'll do is math bb. It's saying missing argument, but trust me, it's there. Let's close it. Now it doesn't cry anymore. Let's say productivity. Copy this again, leave a space and say Guru. So you can see this interesting text it's created. This is all part of the maths function. Let's frame it as well. So $sign, let's say UL corner. Again $sign, let's say LR corner. You can see how it's framed it nicely. So these are just some of the syntaxes available. I'll be sharing a link of all the syntaxes that you can use. Let me show you some more. Since this is a maths module, let's do some maths. So let's create a matrix. So to create a matrix, we'll do $/begin v matrix A and P / C and D, and we'll end that. So end, and we'll mention what it was. So v matrix, and finally we'll add the $2, and that'll create the matrix, as you can see. Now if you want to add something else, for example, is equal to AD minus BC, you can add that here as well. So it's going to look like this. Now I want to wrap it in a bracket as well. So let's do that. I had checked the code for bracket. It was BIGGR, and we want the bracket to be this side. No, don't add the bracket for no reason. So now you can see it's created the bracket. Let's close the bracket as well. So again, BIGGR and bracket. So let's close the bracket. Now similarly, if you want to do an infinity sign, it's very simple. $1 sign, then we do INFTY and $sign, and that'll create an infinity sign. If you want to create a long arrow, very simple. So we'll say long right arrow and $, and you can see it's created that. So you can play around with this. I'm sure by now you can find some great uses for this instead of maths. And that's a final maths module. And now you can see footnote is here. If I click it here, it won't do anything because the page is right here only. But what if we take the footnotes ahead? So let's make the footnote jump one. Let's grab footnotes, Command X. Let's put footnote in, where do we put footnotes? Let's put that after, just before links. So that's footnotes. Now you can see it's all the way up. Now if I click one, it'll take me down. If I click here, it'll get me up to where footnotes is. You can see there's a sentence is where it starts off with, right? So now if I click the second one, the big one, it'll show the second one. See, there's also a sentence. It shows you that, it gets you to that point exactly. And that's all that there is in Markdown. If you found this video helpful, then don't forget to like and subscribe to this channel. If you have any suggestions or comments, then please leave it in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching.